And it is tea time with Kittylicious, episode 5 with PancakeBunnyTV. Yay! Hi!
Hey there, how are you? Good morning, good evening for you, I guess.
Yes! What a lovely time to see you here.
Lovely time to see you as well.
Well, welcome to the podcast then. And usually what I do
thank you.
with my guests is that I have them introduce themselves a little bit. Like,
Okay.
who are you?
Well, I'm PancakeBunnyTV. I have been streaming on Twitch now for actually 3 years as of just a few days ago.
That's really cool, actually. I'm so happy for you. And then I usually like to ask, like, what made you start streaming from the first place?
Oh man, that's such a broad question.
Yeah.
Originally, when I had first started streaming, it wasn't out of like, oh, I want to talk to people while playing video games or any of that jazz. I thought just like stuff I was doing in a particular game was cool, and it's like, what? Maybe other people are gonna want to see this. I was wrong. I was very, very horribly wrong. But over the years of that, it very much turned into a, hey, wait a second here. I can play some of my favorite games, have a good time, and talk to people, meet new people, make new friends with similar interests.
Yeah, that sounds like similar to most, I think, because I think that's
Probably,
I think that's a draw to streaming, that you can do something you really enjoy doing, but also talking. Because
for sure.
Like, are you more of an extrovert or an introvert?
All right, so this is my best kept secret in my personal life. I am an absolute hermit.
Oh, yeah, same. And like, that's a weird thing, because a lot of streamers are introverts, but they have no issue with talking to people like in cam and being like super fancy and fabulous, being like, hey, but then in IRL they're like, I just want to stay home and not really meet people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like if I don't have to leave my house, awesome. Perfect. Fantastic. That's a good day.
Yeah. I was suspecting you were a bit of an introvert. I don't know why. But there's also something else I need to ask. How did you get your name?
So, okay. All right. So, one of the first memes back in early 2000s, there was a picture circulating around the net for a very long time that said, I don't know what you're talking about. So here's a bunny with a pancake on its head. This was not my original streaming name. My original streaming name jumped around a whole lot before I actually settled on PancakeBunnyTV. And out of nowhere, that idea returned. And it's like, wait a minute, hang on. I like this. So I go to Twitch, PancakeBunny is taken. It's like, wait a minute, hang on. Okay, I still want to use this. I want to use this moniker. How do I make this happen? Let's put TV at the end of it. And here we are.
Like, you could have gone with official, so that you are the official Pancake Bunny. Like I had to do.
I could have, but I'm happy with, I think, what it is for now.
Like, that's actually kind of interesting to change name and stuff, because I think some people worry about changing because maybe they made their Twitch account and then they didn't really think they were gonna stream, so they have this really random name. They started there like, fuck, if I change now, people are not gonna know who the fuck I am, who they followed. Like, what name did you have in the beginning that you wanted to change from? And did you lose followers over it? What happened?
So I jumped through a couple of them.
Yeah.
My original streaming name back in the day was Varenka88. Reason I got this name was because there was a character in a Tolstoy novel, Anna Karenina. One-off character, incredibly small name, Varenka. And I'm like, oh, this is a cool name. Yeah. I like this name. Let's go with this for a bit. Turns out it is a very common female Russian name, and I got very tired of people coming by. You aren't Russian. You aren't a woman. Why is this your streaming name? It's like, okay, so chalk that one up.
I could also see, like, with the years that the 88 thing might have been a bit bad too. Because, a little bit.
Yeah.
But did you know, like, so since you got mistaken for, like, a woman and Russian all the time, did you, like, notice that when you changed name, like, oh, I get a bit of a different kind of viewers now?
A little bit, yeah. I definitely had for the first couple months a bunch of confusion of like, I had to come by and see who this was because I don't ever recall following this person. It's like, you changed your name. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
All of those inquiries stopped the moment I changed the account name.
Yeah. Good. Because, like, for me, with one of those complicated names, I'm often tempted, like, I'm just gonna change it. I'm just gonna rebrand. And then I start to remember, like, Man, I've been going for almost 2 years. I think it's a bit too late for me now. Like,
Yeah,
I think the
yeah,
sweet
I
spot is
feel that.
like your first 6 months of streaming.
Probably somewhere in there for sure.
Yeah.
Like before you've really got a whole bunch of like content made under a particular name.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a minor modification, like if you just went to Kittylicious instead of
Dude, I
Kittylicious
want that
official.
name. There used to be, like, there was a streamer called Kittylicious, and we were both streaming, and I really, really wanted us to have, like, some kind of beef together. But it never happened, and I tried to find her. I don't know if she has blocked me, or if she changed the name, because she was like, I don't want to be with, like, fucking
Just
official.
DDoS her. Go DDoS her. Come on.
Yeah, but it's like, it's gone, and I can't change to it, so I don't know. Twitch, give me the name, please. Okay, sorry. Now we started to talk about my weird name.
I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah.
Like if I could petition Twitch to get just the other Pancake Bunny account because it has been inactive for so long.
Yeah, holy moly. I think the Kittylicious is that too. But I was also starting to think, like, I read your like profile, your bio, and it seems like you're doing a lot. You're not just a streamer. So I'm thinking, are you doing?
I've got a lot going on.
Yeah, are you doing like the things you do outside of streaming? Are you doing something there that you feel is really helping your streams? Like that you can.
I mean, yes and no to an extent. So I do a lot of performing work outside of my stream.
Yeah.
That does assist with like coming up with other ideas to kind of get the creative juices flowing. And it also gives me time to think about other projects that I might want to work on stream related. But most of the work I do outside of my stream, none of it really correlates too much to my online persona, as it were, outside of the fact that it's and kind of another creative output that just kind of helps you think and get going a little bit. And being in the performing world definitely gets you into the headspace of you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there silent, hoping everything's really going to work out. It's just like any entertaining, you go see a show, a film, a play, anything along the lines of it. Your performers are sitting there silent and they look bored. You're going to be bored and you're not going to want to stay there.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to get that. The kind of energy that you want, you got to put out.
For sure. And I'm sure that might work for some people, but it doesn't work for me. Like if I just have nothing to say, I just sit there feeling awkward.
I feel that. Now, onto, like, I try to pride myself that this podcast will teach newer streamers. And
Sure.
And, like, especially during the fact that when people start streaming, the only thing they get told is like, just be consistent, lol. So I've been trying really, really hard to like not talk about consistency that much.
For sure.
But it is important. But,
it is.
I think that when you just hear be consistent, people think it's like, oh, as long as I just keep doing it, everything is gonna be fine. Like, obviously you need to do a lot more. But you have had like good success with your consistency. So I thought that we could maybe talk about what does consistency actually mean when it comes to streaming.
Sure. Well, a lot of people confuse consistency with persistence, and both of them are incredibly important, especially in this line of work. A big problem with it being if you're always doing it, but nobody knows when you're going to do it.
Yeah.
No one can really show up. And I've touched on this a couple of times in the past with a couple of people who had a similar question. Consistency is important for the main reason of people know when they can find you. I have a variety of streamers that I know at this time. Oh, cool. They're going to be live. I don't have to necessarily make any plans. If I want to catch them, I know it's going to be from this time to this time. And without that, you have no idea when you can catch your favorite streamers. At the absolute minimum for consistency, God, I hate using that word now, is some basic form of a schedule. I stream on these days and I start around this time, like just for a starting point. And I know that's not feasible for a lot of people who have like a not typical non 9-to-5 job where their schedule changes all the time, but having a Discord or other socials where you can post what your schedule is for that week makes things a bit easy. Because as long as you're being consistent in terms of your followers, your fans, your viewers, your friends know when and where they can find you, whether or not that's at 3 p.m. on a Saturday or 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, middle of the week. As long as people know when they're able to find you, your growth is going to be just exponential at that point on.
Yeah. And I was thinking also about consistency when it comes to which games or what you're doing. Like, if you're doing a lot of just chatting, then maybe you're not gonna be get as much viewers as you would normally get if you're playing games, for example.
Mhm.
So maybe maybe tell people that they shouldn't be discouraged if they notice like a bit of a lack of viewership when they change to something else.
For sure.
So maybe it's
Like
important to like be consistent with what you are streaming as well.
Yeah, but on the other side of it, at least in my opinion, you also need to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
You don't want to get burned out on your main couple of games. I do feel that sometimes it's okay to take a break, to take that viewer hit, to mentally recharge yourself. Because if you're streaming the same thing and now you're starting to hate it, one, you're going to lose your mainstreamed, fun time. And two, everyone else is going to be able to tell you hate it.
Yeah, I wish that I could be consistent when it comes to my game. Like, I'm a true variety person, so...
But you've been doing like a lot of ARC and a lot of MMOs lately, yeah?
Yeah, and maybe I will not be doing that in a month. Like, that's the thing. I change all the time, and if a newer streamer is like, yeah, I'm gonna jump into variety, I think it's important to also remember that it's hard to grow in variety.
It is. It really is.
If you're consistent with it, like, it doesn't have to be the same game. It could be a genre.
For sure.
Like, if you do a lot of horror games, like, that's good. Then you're at least consistent with that. Or if you just do MMOs, then that's that. Or if you do, like, VR chat, like, as long as they can be, as long as you have some kind of consistency, because otherwise it gets weird. I think that you're kind of consistent with what you do, right? With like you Dead by Daylight, stuff like that. What are you mostly playing right now?
Generally, Dead by Daylight's my most streamed game because it's currently, and it has been for the past 3 to 4 years, easily still my favorite game, especially with all the new content and all of the new changes for it. And it's fun. You run into a lot of people that people come by the channel to talk, not always the nicest things after a game, or you make new friends that way. You see a whole bunch of familiar faces, and it's main reason I like DBD is because it's such a chill game after so many hours that I can focus and pay attention to the community and not have to like completely focus and zone in on the game to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas like some other games, like for example, if I were to jump into ARC or to MMO, I'm so engrossed in trying to figure out what's going on that I'm now neglecting my community.
Like,
but DBD is kind of the opposite.
I'm the opposite to you, because when I play DBD, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So I think it's just like, if you know the game well enough, you can focus on the community. So that's
for sure.
Also why it can be kind of hard to learn a new game while you're streaming.
Big time, yeah, for sure.
I have that issue because as I do a lot of variety, I always have to like kind of learn by doing. And I can get performance anxiety. So if you're also trying to learn, it's not going well, and then you see that people are like, what the hell is she doing? Then that's not good either. But it's
then
good
you get frustrated and that translates.
Yeah, exactly. But have you noticed, do you use your stream name as your Dead by Daylight name?
Yeah. My stream name, Steam name, pretty much all of my like gaming platform names are some variation thereof.
Yeah, I've heard that some larger DBD streamers kind of don't like when people do that. Have you noticed that, like, if you played against like a larger streamer, have their community come in and like started to bash you or something? Have that ever happened?
I've never had people come in and bash me from larger communities. I have had people come by. I don't want to mention any names, obviously, but I have had like particular bigger Dead by Daylight streamers. I've had their community come by afterwards and talk and just kind of hang out and check out what's going on. Or as one particular person is known for being very angry and disconnecting a lot in DBD, they come by like, oh, he disconnected again. What else is new? Etc. Etc. I've never had a bad experience with something like that. Now I know your mileage may vary. I know Hexy's talked about this a bit.
Yeah.
That he strictly does not play against, people who have their streamers in their name because his community will go and attack them. So he just doesn't play against them. He leaves the lobby before the game starts.
Yeah, it was I was referring to Hexy actually. It's one of the Dead by Daylight people I watch.
Yeah, I like Hexy.
Yeah, and I think that's like kind of wise, but you're also proving that most other communities can handle it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's
And
also
I'm sure it's probably just a couple of bad apples that are very vocal in his community, or it's become a meme that, well, this is what we do now in this community. And at that point, it's like, well, best not feed that beast, you know?
Yeah, and I think that having your stream name as your kind of like not character name but like the name that you show up as, it's a bit of a heated question because it can be seen as self-promoting, and some people look down on it, and other people like they're like, why shouldn't I? Like, I'm streaming this game, I'm in here now, like why should I hide that I'm doing that? So I think it's good that you are able to like show that, hey, there's actually good shit that can come out of this, because one thing about being a streamer is that, like, sure, as a streamer you want to be seen, but to be seen, like, you have to make sure that there are ways to be seen, you know? And you can't expect people to come by if you like hide your name, kinda.
Exactly. Like, I know some of my fellows, some other streamers are like, they put their link in their Steam bio.
Yeah.
So if like, you know, somebody checks their profile, it's like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, that's, I don't know, that's not on the nose enough for me.
Yeah, I like it. Like, you actually gave me a good perspective on this. I like that I can have guests around that can teach me things too. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. You can actually have some good stuff.
Yeah, different viewpoints are always super useful.
Yeah, I think I'm still just stuck being a millennial, because when I was a teen and I was growing up, it was like, if you had talent, people would notice you. That was it. Nowadays, it's like, you might not need that much talent, but if people have noticed you and if you have a big social media following, then then you're gonna grow.
100%. And that's very, very true in all of my works outside of streaming. It's very much a less about what you know and more about who.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that differs so much, and that's something me as a streamer have had to work with a lot, to like be fine with self-promoting. Like, when I had to start using Twitter, like, I almost wanted to throw up every time. I was like, no, I hated it so much.
I'm still so bad at Twitter. Like, I'll just forget it's there for weeks on end and check back in. It's like, yeah, right. I should use this.
Yeah, exactly. Because in Sweden we also have like this kind of mentality that is like, don't pretend that you're something that you're not. So for me, I get this like Swedish guilt every time I'm like, I'm live, blah blah blah, come and watch me, because then my head is like, why should I watch you? What the fuck? Why should they do that? If you're good, then they will notice you anyway. Like, it's just so bullshit, and I'm trying to work with that. And maybe, like, I don't know, younger streamers might not have that issue. But me, I'm starting to get pretty old, you know? So I have that issue. I grew up in a different time. It was different back then, alright?
For sure. You do good, though. You do really good.
Thank you. I'm trying hard. But I'm going to focus on you, damn it. Trying to steal the show. Now, something else that I've noticed is your wonderful Discord. It's actually so amazing. You should be proud of that one, because it's like, I've seen a lot of streamer Discords, but yours is like, there is a lot in there, but there's also a lot of activity. Like, I want to talk about like how did you manage to like create that kind of community?
Man, that's a good question that I've been trying to unpack for the past 3 years. I think a lot of, especially kind of like from the community and from the Discord in general, really comes from kind of creating that space where people can come and be themselves and not be afraid of being themselves. I know I personally have had like moments and experiences where I'll go to somebody's community, but I feel like I have to have this facade or this persona, because if I'm me, like, you'll get endlessly shit on for it. So I've made it a point to, over the past 3 years, to really strive and build this community, this space where come as you are, be who you are, within reason. Like, if you're like the type of person like who drops like, you know, racial and homophobic slurs, no, absolutely do not be who you are. Or if you want to be who you are, do not be that person in my community. But helping people realize like, you don't have to be afraid or worried about, you know, how people are going to perceive you here, because if they have a problem with it, that's on them at this point. But you're welcome to come here and be safe and be who you are. Like, one of the, I don't want to say catchphrases because that sounds cheesy, but one of the main tenets I tried to find this community on was to love yourself and to not forget to love other people.
Aww, that's actually really
and to
sweet.
love each other. because it's an incredibly important thing in my opinion, and that really helps build this this community, this disjointed family that's all across the globe, kind of in its own way. And I've noticed over like the past couple of years, like I've had people approach me about like, I don't know where I'd be without this community.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of feel the same way. Like I don't know where I would be over the past 3 years if I didn't have this community, because like
Yeah.
I've been helped through some like awful dark times by the people in my community, and that
Yeah.
the inverse is also true.
Yeah.
You have people like who come, it's like, hey, does anybody have an ear for a minute? I need to talk.
Yeah. How do you like properly say thank you to your community? Because when I try it, I'm like, this doesn't look genuine. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Because like I think all streamers are getting really helped by their community, and I tried to tell my community that many times, but for me it just looks like, I don't know, it just doesn't look genuine to me. Even though it is 100% genuine when I thank you, I'm like, you guys mean so much to me, blah blah blah. But it feels like since that kind of stuff is thrown around so much everywhere, it's like it's starting to lose its meaning a bit.
For sure. That in itself is an endless question. It's something I struggle with constantly. Like one of the things I'll periodically tell people every few times a month is like, I'm really bad at saying thank you, mostly because like I just feel like I just like you mentioned, like I feel genuine about it, and I know the emotions I'm expressing are honest and true. But how many times can you say the words thank and you back to back before it just sounds ingenuine? A big thing I try and do, especially now in the past, whenever this whole quarantine and lockdown truly began, is community events. Whether it's community game nights or giveaways, or even if it's just like an off stream, you know what? Hang on, let's all grab your favorite beer, your wine, your whiskey, and just chill and just hang out and get to know these people who are, rapidly becoming some of my closest friends. But from what they tell me, the thanks is the community that they get to now be a part of. Personally, I think that's a crock of shit, and I need to find more ways to thank them. But yeah, 100% streamers are very much carried and supported by the community, because without that, where would any of us, be doing this? It literally impossible. But at least what helps me mentally is like, community game nights with like giveaways on those, and like subscriber only giveaways on some of those community game nights for like, stuff like this, my Love Yourself bracelet and things like that. It's like things that are meaningful to people in a way that's, hey, this is me saying thank you for everything you've done for me, to everybody else.
Yeah.
But as for expressing it with words, I've got no idea, because thank you. I appreciate and love you all so much. You can say that about 3 times before you don't believe it anymore, even though it's true. It sounds like, oh, they don't believe me. This is just a routine now.
Yeah, it's like it's just word at this point,
Despite the fact how genuine it is, it's like,
I know. We need more words for
gratitude. 10
gratitude.
times in a row, potato doesn't sound like a word anymore.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. But back to your Discord, like, do you have any advice to like newer streamers what to do? Because you have a lot of like sections there, like games and things to discuss. Should you start with that much or try to keep it small?
Honestly, I would recommend keeping it small. I did and then immediately didn't. When I originally made the Discord for the community, I had maybe a couple of channels, and then one day I got into one of my manic moments. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't organized enough. People don't know where to post things. There's always going to be questions of like, hey, where can I put this? Where can I put this? Like, I'm just going to make a channel for literally everything.
Yeah.
I definitely start small, because you don't need, like, I've got at a glance 25 different sections in my Discord. A handful of those are conversation channels. Unless your community is like thousands upon thousands, you really don't need one that big. But just start small. Like, have a thing for shit posting. Have a channel where people can put their pets. Have a channel for questions, and have a general, and you're good. You're Gucci.
Do you also write a lot in the Discord, or do you just let people kind of come up with things to talk about yourself? Because as a streamer, sometimes it can be hard for me when I'm like, going into my general like, hey everyone, how are you? I hope you're having a good day, and then no one replies. So I think that can be kind of like you can't force a community to be a community, of course, and maybe people just didn't see it. Whatever. I'm just thinking that if I was a newer streamer, I would be like, shit, maybe they don't like me, or does that happen? Yeah.
A good thing I've taken to heart about this is like texting somebody or messaging somebody on some kind of an online messenger. They're not available 24/7.
Yeah.
I will put a message out there knowing I'll get a response at 8 hours from now. So not stressing over that about like getting any kind of an answer, or like I've had days where the Discord is just dead for a couple of days because people got their own lives, they've got stuff going on. It happens. And I've had other days where there's 267 notifications in the past 25 minutes. Stop talking, go away. I'm sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely big extremes.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
But I was also thinking about like your community nights. How long did you wait until you started with those? Because it can be kind of hard to do that if you have a smaller community. So that.
For sure.
So how long did you wait?
I only really started doing community game nights actively for about this year, since around February or so.
Yeah.
The main reason for it being getting over no one's going to have interest in this. No one's going to want to come show up for this. And then, hosting the first community game night, and it was a massive success. A bunch of people from the community came out, even if they didn't necessarily play games, still just kind of vibe and hang out and wait for a chance to hop in and hop out. And even then, depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing Jackbox games or Scribble, you're going to expand your community simply because there's people in those directories searching for that because they want to play with other people.
Yeah.
So you can always like suck in other people to your community, into your web of friendship and love, and just compact them in there. But I'd say definitely having at least, if not a big community, an active one.
Yeah.
Really helps with community game night. And schedule it a month out in advance.
Yeah.
Schedule it. If you're able to do so, schedule it the same day and time every month. So people now, one, have something to look forward to, and two, will clear their schedules for it.
Oh, that's a good tip to consider. Now I was thinking also, since I only know this because we talked about it a little bit.
Sure.
Even though you have like this really like amazing community, it's sometimes some trouble in paradise.
Always.
Yeah, could you take up some examples of that and how you like handled it?
Sure. So in a community of really any size, like someone's gonna have a problem with somebody else, whether it's because of just conflicting personalities, or these people knew each other prior to the community and like bad blood has developed with them, or I don't know, one person played for TSM and the other person played for, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Whether it's a deep-seated rivalry or just a meshing of different personalities. It's a difficult and unusual creature to try and suss out. Make sure that they don't have to be fake around each other, but they also aren't going out attacking each other. And it's a very difficult balance to strike. It really is. Like I know there's handfuls of people in the community who, whether they knew each other prior and they just don't get along anymore, or they met and just immediately started butting heads. Honestly, the biggest way I've seen is those people just don't talk to each other. Like they don't go out of their way. And there have been people who go out of their way to try and antagonize somebody else, and those people just don't last long in the community. It's like you can have a big peace treaty, but the second somebody interferes with that peace treaty, there's a big problem. And usually the person who interfered gets dogpiled on. Because I'm like, no, we have a good thing here right now and you're messing it up. Stop it.
So the community is kind of policing itself too.
Very much so. Yeah. Like obviously the mods do have to step in from time to time, as well as myself. But generally, like if people are having it out and it's not too bad, I let them have it out. Like I always encourage, take it somewhere private. Like don't air your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be comfortable if I went after somebody. Nobody is comfortable when you do it.
Yeah.
So definitely keep DM the person you're mad at, or block them, ignore them, and never speak to them. And now they no longer exist to you, and you no longer exist to them. But you can still share the community and the space.
I think that's actually a really good solution, Because for some, like me, for example, I would just kick them. I would say bye, but that's like the easy solution. It's not a fun solution
It
because
can be, yeah.
you haven't really solved anything. Like
Mhm.
you just remove the person, and maybe you wouldn't have to need to do that. So I like that we can see that, because in the past we talked with Brooke, for example. She had some bad eggs in her community, and she ended up like, it got so bad she like had to completely cut ties with another streamer because
Oh,
he
wow.
kept because the people he like brought with him, they were not good people. Like the communities clash a little bit. Have you
For
had
sure, for
any
sure.
clashes with other people's like communities, or have you been saved from that kind of drama?
Honestly, I haven't had any classes with other people's communities. More often than not, anytime I come across, another streamer, whether it's in a
Yeah.
game or just browsing the directory that I feel like I vibe with a little bit and check out their community, it's very much the same kind of personality I've noticed a lot of times. Like, I noticed the community is almost like indicative of the type of streamer. Like, I referenced like O Tofu, for example.
Mm?
So I came across his community, I think, through another streamer, Coca-Cola, who I play with now and again. And he's an incredibly just wholesome and just chill guy. But usually when I go to a stream like that, I lurk. Chat's hidden. I'm there just to just hang out. His community is incredibly just wholesome and chill.
Aw.
But the flip side is also true. There are streamers out there, obviously without naming names, who have a very like aggressive and not mean, but a very very loud
Yeah.
persona and personality, and the community also does kind of embody that a little bit. So whereas you may go to like Tofu stream and have like a bunch of wholesome interactions, and then go to a different stream and now the coin
Yeah.
is entirely flipped. Thankfully, I've been, I would say, very blessed and very lucky to not have that kind of a situation of run into a community and just getting the middle finger.
Yeah. Because you're one of the people that I found by hosting. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think we were both playing Warhammer probably.
I believe so, yeah.
And like one of the things I often worry about when I'm like gonna host someone I have never watched it before is if they have
Mhm.
a toxic community. And I'm
For
like,
sure.
because I feel like hosting someone and rating them is kind of endorsing them a bit. It's like, hey,
A little bit, yeah.
because you're still trusting them with your community, so it's always a bit of
Mhm.
like it's kind of scary, I think, that you can't really know before you're in there. Because I remember it happened to me once. I was playing Ark and someone was like, hey, you should check out this Ark guy, blah blah blah. I was like, fine, we'll raid your friend. And it was so toxic there. I was like, no, what have I done? Now I'm gonna be like
Never again.
yeah, I was like, fuck, now I'm gonna be associated with this. So that can be kind of something to think about also, because I think to grow also, you need to raid others. But
You need to network, yeah.
yeah, you like networking is super important, but I'm really bad at raiding randoms. Like you're one of the few ones that I have done that with, because
Aw.
I saw that you saw your little name, your mascot, and I was like, this person cannot be toxic. And I was like,
And then little did you know, I'm the worst person out there.
yeah. Oh my god. No, I didn't mean that. It was just.
Nah,
Oh my god. There was just a big. There was just a car that was very loud outside, and I got really scared. I apologize. I get scared of everything. I need to calm down. Okay.
Deep breath.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get murdered. Basically.
Well, don't do that. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah. So now I got off track. So basically.
Networking.
Yeah. Now we're gonna talk about the other fun stuff, because I feel like we have dug pretty deep with
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we dug deep with hot people stuff. Now I want to talk more about you. I want to talk about your favorite stream memory.
Oh man, my favorite stream memory. Oh, that's a tough one. There's God, there's so many. Okay, so I've got a couple of ones, and most of them are from community game nights.
Oh.
Just people's interactions. So, oh man, okay, this is going to require a lot of backstory that I don't 100% remember. But previous apartment I lived in had laminate wood flooring. And laminate wood flooring is a nightmare to take care of. So I'd wear flip-flops like all the time if I went anywhere, because it just feels weird to be walking on laminate wood flooring nonstop. And there was one time we were doing community game night, and for some reason, clapping butt cheeks had been a theme for that night. And I'm walking, my mic's open, and I'm walking back to my computer, and you just hear the flip flop sound of like the flip flop hitting the laminate. And Jess, Chaos Canary, one of our moderators, just busts up losing their shit, saying like, "Them's the cheeks," and everyone loses it for like the next 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
I've got stuff out there. I've got clips out there somewhere for it, but mostly the community game nights are what that's when I laugh the hardest. That's when I have the most fun streaming. Is because you meet all of these different hilarious, unusual, non-atypical people. Yeah. Now, voice call with alcohol and stupid silly games. So things just get odd.
Oh my god.
And on the flip side, wholesome moments. For example, there was a person, a longtime member of our community, who very, very much unexpectedly lost a pet.
Aww.
And it was incredibly sudden. And one thing my roommate and I had discussed is that we have a series of these bracelets, and one of them was specifically to losing a pet. It was, it had like a little bit like the rainbow bridge and like little like animal pets going across. I'm like, we've got an extra one. Let's send one to them.
Aww.
And we had sent it off, and we had a community game night shortly thereafter where we were actually like doing a giveaway for more of these bracelets. And it was kind of okay, go to the website, pick one you want, we got you. And this person in the community had DM'd us like, "Hey, is it okay if we get this one?" I'm like, okay, we should probably tell her. And then 2 days later, the bracelet we had sent her already, the one she wanted, had already arrived. So you have both the incredible moments of comedy and hilarity, and then the heartbreaking but still very, very sweet.
Yeah, warm and caring, I would say.
For sure. God, I could waste the rest of the time on the podcast just talking about my favorite community moments, because it's just
I wouldn't say it's a waste though, because it's like good for people to hear. Like that's something people can strive for, to work with a community like that. But I was also gonna ask about your high point and low point of streaming.
Oh man. All right, so high point of streaming has, oddly enough, got to be probably the last few months.
Yeah.
With the the lockdown and the quarantine going on, a lot of people, they're telecommuting, or their jobs they can't go to them, so they're working something different, or they're working from home, which has changed a lot of people's schedules, which means they're they're around more often. It's like, well, I may as well see what's going on Twitch, what's going on this. My high point has probably got to be people who are either like they've been furloughed or permanently terminated from their job because of COVID, or longtime members of the community. Like periodically, like I'll get a DM on on Discord or an email or a text message about how much the community's meant to people. Aww. And how much they've been helped during these difficult times by by the stream, by the community. And that's my high point. And that's been happening more and more in the past, not 9 months, but like the past 6 months.
Yeah,
this has all been going on. So it's very much a high point. It's a bittersweet high point, because there's people who are in not very fortunate situations, but being able to help that definitely is the high point. As for a low point, there's definitely a handful. I think the biggest one that's directly to stream related is when like you're seeing constant growth, and it's climbing, and it then just stagnates and plummets. And that's definitely happened a couple of times where like you'd be averaging 15, 20 viewers off and on for a couple of weeks, and then you go and stream for 9 hours and 3 people show up.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a massive blow, not necessarily to the ego, but kind of just like oh god, what did I do? Did I mess up? Did I do something wrong? What happened? But
I relate to this.
Yeah, same. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this is an incredibly recent example. I was talking with one of my very good friends who's in the community, kind of just about this, and realizing that I personally have been focusing too much on on numbers, on analytics, on viewer count, on averages, et cetera, and it was stressing me out.
Yeah,
like a lot, to the point that like there'd be nights where like I'd go to bed miserable. It's like, why am I doing this? Why am I streaming? This isn't working. This isn't working at all. And, by the morning, those thoughts are gone.
Yeah.
But those low points, they do come and they do happen. And those, like, you can't focus on numbers nonstop
exactly.
because, like, there may be like 3 people who have come by in the day, but there's over 150 people in Discord.
Yeah.
Again, people are busy. People have their schedule. If your community fell apart, the Discord would be gone. You know, that kind of a thing. Like your subscriber count would drop to 0 in a month.
Yeah.
So focusing too much on that definitely gets me down, like a lot. As well as another very big recent low point, and this kind of circles back around to talking about drama earlier.
Yeah.
I had an incident in my community where there was already kind of bad blood between a couple of members, and there was just this even bigger falling out that I was, kind of paying attention to, but not paying attention to because I'm like, it's none of my business. And eventually I had to step in. It's like, this is just getting a little ridiculous. And then, running around until 4 or 5 a.m. putting out, proverbial fires about like, hey, what's going on, trying to get everyone's side of the story, and then going from being like an entertainer to having to play like judge and jury and arbiter over like who's right and who's wrong. And that was probably the biggest low point I've ever had in my streaming career so far. Is very much this is it. It's gonna split. It's gonna sunder.
Oh shit.
And like that moment, and it didn't. It recovered. Nothing honestly really came from it except for like a couple of like, hey, so on that note, take it privately if you've got a problem with it.
Yeah.
But those are probably the 2 biggest, as I feel, definitely relatable and recent, like all-time lows, just like with streaming, because it can get rough out there, especially when tensions are high.
I also want to add that with the low points, I think there is like a certain taboo to talk to other streamers about that kind of stuff, because it feels like on the outside you have to like I don't know. It's like there's like this kind of mask you have to wear and be like, yeah, I don't have those problems. No, everything is super good for me and stuff like that. And it's kind of sad. I don't like to do that. I want to be able to be honest and be like, hey guys, today wasn't a good day. Like I want to be able to do that, but I still feel like I have to like keep up appearances and stuff.
I'm guilty of that as well. I try to avoid doing that. Like I don't go into details unless like somebody presses me about it. Like I don't go into details on stream. Like if I've had a bad day, it's like I'll touch on site. Like, today wasn't super exciting, but I'm glad I'm home to hang out with you guys. But like I in all of my other professions, I have to wear a mask, whether it's, some kind of performing or anything of the line of that one. But, when I come here, when I come home to stream, I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear that mask. I don't want to have to, like, I'm not doing like a grandiose, like Dr. Disrespect, cool kind of a character or something. Like I'm here being me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just a dude. I'm just a person. I've got highs. I've got lows. I've had days where I'm in a great mood and that can flip on the flip of a coin. I've got days where like I'm just super low energy and don't really feel like being there, but I'll still be there because I know eventually the community's energy will kind of siphon off and you'll feel a little bit better by the end of it. But yeah, I've noticed it's very much the facade of everything's perfect, everything's great, I'm living my best life, because no. I don't think that's true for any streamer. Like a big reference to this is probably Admiral Baru.
Yeah.
Like he suffers from depression. Hard time. And he is like he's a 10K plus average viewer streamer.
Yeah.
All the time. Like he is incredibly successful, and success doesn't necessarily always make you happy. There's still that, that depression or that like not isolation, but that kind of moment. And he's not afraid about talking about it or reaching out. And how I see it, if one of the most successful streamers on Twitch can do it, everybody can do it.
Yeah. But it's like, for me, I'm a very open person. So I it worked a bit when I started streaming, but I started to realize later that I was a bit too open, and if I was talking about like rough subjects and stuff, I felt like I was being a bit of a downer. So I would say like it's good to be yourself, but like I would say that I'm like 80% myself a lot of the time. because I still want to, like, if I'm watching someone stream, I usually watch so I don't have to think about my problems. So I don't want to
Exactly.
listen to the streamer talk about theirs too much. Like, I still want to care about the streamer, but I don't want to hear, like, the rough stuff. If they say, like you said earlier, that you can say that if you had a bad day, but you don't, like, go into too many details about it. I think that's a good balance, actually.
Like, everyone's there to escape, including the streamer, honestly, at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was thinking now, if anyone in chat have any questions, and also, if you, Pancake, have anything we should take up that I have missed.
Oh, man.
Or if you feel like we've covered it.
I mean, we've covered so much, and I think you've hit a lot of really good points, and honestly, you've helped me figure out how to unpack, like, how I've wanted to say certain things, especially like with the community, like the high points and the low points. I'm like, I've never thought about that. I've never actively thought about that before. I think one thing I can touch on, and it's a touchy subject that I don't think any of us like, is networking.
Yeah.
And trying to, assuage those fears of meeting new people while still getting out there. Because, like, I've seen, like, people who have been streaming for 7 months who have a massive following because of networking and finding that balance, like making friends with, like, bigger streamers, like people you feel like you can fuck with them a little bit, you can vibe with them, but also not coming across like you're trying to clout chase.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a curious balance.
Yeah, it's like some people that I know that started streaming during, like, now the quarantine and stuff. They have better numbers than me. I'm like, okay, what the hell?
Yep.
So, but I think they're also, like, just better at networking too. And
yeah, like, I'm garbage at networking. Like, I can freely admit that I am total shit.
Yeah, maybe. Like, my next guest is actually one of those that has found a lot of success during the quarantine. She started during quarantine, so and she has been really good at networking. So I'm not gonna say who it is yet, but you should
tune in on that one. I could use some tips.
Yeah, exactly. So next episode is gonna be really good for that, for people that want to know how to, like, network properly and stuff.
I have found, though, it, like, networking with similar minded streamers. Like, there's a couple people that I can like give examples of this, like Coca-Cola or the Pain Stranger or Perky J, or Billy Bit. So it's like small streamers like you'll come across, and it's like, you know what, I kind of fuck with this guy. I kind of fuck with this guy a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll join their community, and their people are gonna join your community, and kind of just get to know more people that way. Like, it's so much easier to network with streamers that are your size.
Yeah, exactly.
Than trying to, like, be friendly with somebody who's super popular. And the main reason I think for that being is, like, okay, 6 people in chat talking versus 3,000.
Yeah. And, like, I'm even noticing that people that have, like, 60 plus viewers or something, like, I have asked some of those to be on the podcast. They're saying no. And I understand that. It's like, they don't have that much to gain, and I'm not doing the podcast to gain anything, really. I just wanted to create, like, a good source of information for newer streamers.
For sure.
But it's also like, if you start networking with people that are much larger than you, like, what are you even gonna do? Like,
like, it can be hard. It can be hard because, like, the immediate thing is like, oh, I'm just clout chasing. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Think. That's all it's gonna look like, kinda. So yeah, I think that's important to think about.
For
like,
sure.
try to interact and work with people your same size, and, like, help each other, have fun. Like,
yeah, but, like, don't be afraid of going out there and making friends.
Yeah, exactly.
With bigger streamers, like, because it's don't like, in my opinion, it's not a guaranteed route of success.
No.
Hell, it's barely even a chance of success. But go out there and make friends, if not with just a bigger streamer, people in the community.
Yeah.
And get to know people. And people will be drawn to you, like that old adage, if you build it, they will come. Like,
some people in my community actually, like, we watched the same streamer that's kind of big, and then they kind of found me from his chat, and now they're in my community. So just being active in other people's chats and being friendly and helpful, that can help too. Like,
for sure,
that's also networking, I would say. Like,
it is.
As long as you, but then people like you're not there to network. Obviously, you're there to watch a
Yeah,
streamer and chill. But it can sometimes turn into networking, like
it can be.
unintentionally, just because
Like, I'd
people
say
have. Hmm?
networking just as a blanket term. Like, I always
So
treat it as
weird.
like, go be social. It's
Yeah,
not like this is a like, it's a company party and you're meeting like different district managers or CFOs and the like and so on and so forth. It's like, no, you're there, you're being social, you're getting to know people. And especially this industry and in the entertainment industry in general, that's what I think is networking is you're being you around other people and you're seeing who you vibe with and who you can make friends with. And what comes from that, nobody knows.
yeah, very good points. However, it is starting to be time for the end. I'm really bad at ending my podcast, by the way. I'm super
Are
bad
you?
at it. Yeah, I don't. You should try just watching the ends of them, so you know. I'm really bad at saying goodbye. Is there? Oh! Now I almost forgot something. Your
Uh-huh.
self promotion. You were talking about your like armbands. What's the deal with them?
Yes. Okay, so there's this company called Zox, ZOX, that my roommate is the one who actually turned me on to them. They
Oh,
do these like, little bracelets and rings, stuff like that have like, unique artwork and like usually like some kind of a message on them. For example, like the one I have directly in front of me is I don't remember his name, but he was this is the one right here. In particular, he's from Greek mythology. He was a
ah,
king, and he was sentenced by Zeus, I believe it was. Like his eternal punishment was to perpetually push this boulder up a
yeah.
hill, only for it to roll down again.
That character is
Um,
also in Hades. Sorry, go on.
yeah. It's the same thing from Greek mythology. I can't remember
Yeah.
his name, but I believe he was a king. And on the inside, it says no days off, which you can take to
Oh,
mean what you want it to mean, whether it's
yeah,
like you're being motivated or it's also a struggle, and that you need to remember that it's okay to take days off.
yeah,
And there are things I like to give away to the community, like self-tailored, like people who I know like in the community who struggle with self-deprecation
yeah.
beyond what's like funny and healthy, and to the point it's like, are you good, buddy? Like I've given out a couple in the community. It's like, love yourself, be kind to your mind, stuff like that, and they're super inexpensive. They're like $10 a shot
Oh, damn.
on the website. And I got them ultimately because they helped me.
Yeah,
Like if I'm having a particularly rough day, like I can look down at something and it's like, okay, you know what? You're right. It's just like a friendly little, like just a tap on the back of the
yeah,
head, a little
exactly.
reminder that you wear the one you need for the day.
Oh,
It's
that's
going to help
actually
get you
sweet.
through what's weighing on your mind.
That's
But
really sweet.
I'm eternally grateful for my roommate for turning me onto that
Yeah.
one.
Are they
Zox.la.
sponsoring you?
No, God, no.
They should.
We actually do every Thursday morning they release their new like weekly batch because they put out new ones every week. So like Lee and I, my roommate, will get on stream and we'll like review them and see what they all
Oh,
are and kind of just hang out and see what these new
yeah.
bracelets are. It's like, oh, these are so cool.
Dude,
And
you
it's something the community started looking forward
yeah.
to.
Like you're a really good spokesperson for them, so just
I mean, they've
hit
helped me so much.
yeah, but like hit them up, send them an email, say like, "Hey, like I'm not joking here, do it, dude." Like
Might just think about that.
yeah. So other than that, like self-promotion time. Any social links you want up there? When,
Yeah,
when do you
sure.
stream? What's your schedule?
So I stream every day, starting at 6 p.m. PST. That's America time. So for
Yeah.
reference, it is almost noon at my time. PancakeBunnyTV on Twitter, on Instagram, Pancake Bunny Nation on Facebook, and obviously Pancake Bunny TV on Twitch.
Yeah.
Clearly. As well as Discord, if you swing by the channel or anywhere, the Discord's posted there as well. So
Yeah. Any special shout outs, any thank yous, and stuff like that?
oh man, well, obviously first you.
Yay!
Thanks for
Me!
having me on, dude. This was awesome. And when you approached me about this a couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting here. It's like, why the hell does she want to interview me? I'm nobody. But this has actually been a really fun experience and a very
Thank you.
eye-opening one.
Thank you so much.
Massive thank you to you, obviously. Were you the person who turned me on to the Midnight as well?
To the midnight? What's
Yeah,
that?
the band, the Midnight. Okay,
Okay,
I
it
wasn't
wasn't
sure
me.
if it was you.
Sorry,
I wasn't.
I can't take credit for that. So
You're good. I'm like, was this you that turned me on to this? And obviously, my community, my moderator team, you know, Blue Spectre, Chaos Canary, Lovely Wyvern, Skrillex, Volt Kraken, everybody. Massive thank you to my community as well, because I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for them and, you know, for people like you in your community as well.
Yeah. Yay, that was really lovely. Now,
Well, thank you.
I'm very bad at saying goodbye, but I want to thank you for coming on. It was super fun, and I hope we can do some more stuff in the future. But
thank you for having me. I'm so down.
yeah, but okay. Now we have to say I suck at saying goodbye, so I'm just gonna say bye bye basically.
All right. Bye.
Bye.